Welcome to the CCM Recruitment International CV Guideline tutorial. Today's video will run through some tips in order for you to perfect your international CV for your upcoming application. It is important that your CV maintains a professional appearance and wording, avoiding personal pronouns and maintaining consistency. Please use an easy-to-read font with consistent formatting, including the space, size, and headings throughout the document. Minimize the number of pages, which can be hard depending on your work experience, but your CCM recruitment consultant can advise you on this. And finally, target your CV to your specialty. For example, Louise May is an ICU nurse. Let's look through her CV to see how she's achieved this. Personal details are listed at the top of the front page. These can include more detailed information than you would normally put on your CV due to the international recruitment requirements and for work permits. It's important that you include these details at the beginning in order to avoid processing delays later. Please state your name, date of birth, and gender as listed on your passport. Include your marital status with any dependents if applicable, your current, dual, or previous nationalities, and any languages spoken. Contact details, including your full mailing address, telephone number, and email, should also be listed here. Professional registration is the final section. Please include the professional body, such as APRA, the registration number, and the expiry date. If you are registered in more than one country, please provide all valid details here. For example, perhaps you are also registered in New Zealand. The next section of your CV should be your qualifications or educational history. In this section, please list all academic history in chronological order, meaning the newest to the oldest. Details to include should be the name of the degree or qualification, the facility or institute that you studied, including its location. Please always list the month and year that you started and the month and year that you completed your qualification. You can repeat this format for as many qualifications and courses as you need that are relevant to your specialty. The next section of your CV is your employment history. Information required in this section can be more detailed than what you may be familiar with. It is important that expanded details are included in your international CV to provide the potential employer with better information about the hospitals you've currently worked in, allowing them to assess your suitability for their units. In this section, please list all employment over the last 5 years, including breaks for travelling and maternity leave, in chronological order. Include your title, the duration of employment, including the month and year that you started and the month and year that you completed each position, and the position hours. For example, Louise May is full-time, working 38 hours per week. List the unit and the hospital, including the hospital's location, under each title. From here, you need to expand on your history and provide further details about the hospital. You may need to research the hospital in order to provide a short statement regarding its specialty and size. Things to include are if it's a tertiary hospital, if it's a public or private, how many beds, if it's a referral or teaching hospital, and any specialties it may have. Then move on to describing the actual unit or particular ward that you work for. Things to include are the bed numbers, the case mix, the types of patients you care for, the nurse-patient ratio, and any work-related issues. Following your description of the hospital and unit, please bullet point your roles and responsibilities for each position. These bullet points should describe your duties that stand out from what is normally expected of a registered nurse. Please don't simply repeat each responsibility from the previous job. We understand that your role may be very similar, but try to focus on the extra duties different in each unit and under each title. Think about how you have advanced professionally since your previous job and list these things here to show progression. This will also highlight your strengths to your future employer. You may wish to add any special equipment or procedures that you use. Describe managerial experience, for example, if you team lead, how often you do, and how many staff you supervise. You could also include any involvement in policy and procedures, clinical audits, or research within the unit. Another example is if you act as a preceptor or a mentor to any students or junior staff. Continue this format for each position you have held as a nurse or over the last 5 years. In this example, Louise May's next position was as a graduate nurse. Many Australian and New Zealand nurses often ask us how to include their graduate nurse program within their CV. Please do not exclude your grad program, as this does add to your experience and shows your ability to build on your skills and knowledge throughout your career. It is acceptable for you to list your grad year as one point under your employment history, then provide slightly more details about the hospital and each rotation. In this example, Louise has still provided information about the hospital and the program, each ward that she worked on, and listed some roles and responsibilities. It is understandable to have less roles and responsibilities as a grad or a junior nurse than your current position. Do still include some basic examples to highlight your progression as a nurse. This example further highlights how Louise has separated her graduate program rotations. She again has provided information about the unit and some roles and responsibilities during that time. The final section of your CV should be your references or referees. It is important in this section to list at least 2 contact details for senior referees. Ideally, your current unit manager would be your first reference, and then at least 1 supervisory person for the second. Always check with these people before you list them to ensure they're happy to be a reference for you. Details to include are their name, job title, hospital address, phone number, and email. It's important that these details are correct so to make it easier for your employers to contact them in the future. And that brings us to the end of the CCM Recruitment International tutorial on CV preparation. We hope you found this information helpful to update your CV. If you have any further questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to contact your CCM consultant for further advice and guidance. Good luck with your upcoming overseas applications, and we look forward to receiving your CVs shortly.